Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So this is Chris from Cypher Sigma Screen Time, and here we are for a movie review. Yes, only one this week. I did go to see two movies, but I haven't had time to do the second review, so that will be up next week. So as you already know from the thumbnail and everything, this is for Scream 7. So yes, this is Kevin Williamson. Only directed two movies, this and Teacher Miss Tingle, which I think went by another name in the 90s. Essentially, this is just over 2 hours and 2 minutes long. It is rated 18 in the UK. And essentially, this is the continuation of the Scream franchise, where we have a new Ghostface killer coming back to haunt Sydney in her hometown and after her daughter, because her daughter is the same age she was when she was a kid. And this is essentially the story of it. You don't need to go into much. There isn't anything, as far as I was aware, after the credits. The credits just show the characters and highlight the actors and actresses who play them across the board. But we do have quite a ensemble cast in this one. So we have Neve Campbell returning as Sydney. Now Sydney Evans of married. She's married to Joel McHale, who plays Mark, her husband. Obviously, Gail Porter by Courtney Cox. She returns in it as well. We have Isabel May joins the cast as Tantum Evans, the daughter of Sydney Prescott, or Sydney Evans, and Mark Evans. And then we have where are we? So we have returning cast members from the previous movie. So Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy Martin, and Mason Goodin as Chad Martin. These are the niece and nephew, I believe, of the guy from 1 and 2, who I can't remember. He's not Stu. I can't remember what isn't the fun guy who did the video said about it. You all know who I'm talking about. We then obviously have Anna Camp as Jessica Bowen, the next door neighbor of Neve Campbell's character. And then we have Asa Germain as Lucas Bowen, her son. Her son is kind of a budding nut of the Stab kind of movies. And then we have Celeste O'Connor as Chloe, Sam Retcher as Ben, the boyfriend of Tantum, and then McKenna Grace as Hannah. Her and Chloe are the best friends of it. So this is kind of the friends, and this is kind of the cast as a whole. So we will put the spoiler warning up, and we'll get into it as I've gone through all the cast and crew, essentially. So yes, so this movie starts, we have two people turning up to a replica of the original house where the killings was done. There's a few, there's an animatronic killer, and then they have a phone call and stuff like this, and you can kind of get the feeling that maybe something's going to happen. This is the whole point of these movies, leading up to the point he gets killed, then she gets killed, and then the house gets burnt down. Then we skip forward to basically where Neve Campbell, Sydney's character, starts. You have her daughter in her bedroom. Her boyfriend comes through the window, a little bit like the first movie, as you may remember. They start kissing and making out. Mum comes in, he hides, and this is where there is kind of an awkward situation. You find out essentially that Sydney isn't very forthcoming with her daughter, with everything she's done, because of the Stab movie as a detective. And obviously she doesn't trust anybody, even this Ben lad. Obviously she sends him out. Ben's like, I am a good guy. She's like, good night, Ben. Then you get to meet her husband, Josh McHale, as Mark. He is the police sheriff, as you find out as well. And basically everything more or less seems fine. It's just Sydney's worrying. The next day she goes to work. There's a strange guy who meets her in the cafe. She finds it a little bit strange. When she goes to sit down in her office doing some admin, there is a video from Stu Mocker. So this is Matthew Lydia's character, who's now magically supposedly been resurrected, saying that basically he's after her daughter and that, and he's basically has a video of him showing outside the school. He turns up at the school, kills a few people, including McKenna Grace's character. Then we have the whole thing of who did it, blah, 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 blah. Sydney's character turns up in time to shoot after the Ghostface killer as they run off, and then magically they disappear. Then basically they have this plan in place. They all go back to their house. Some sheriffs sweep the house. It's all fine. Then the Evans family go in. So Tantrum, Sydney, and Mark. This is where we find the Ghostface killer is in the attic, comes down and starts haunting the three of them. A few injuries and solved. This is where you see the trailer bit of where the girls go in the panic room and then trying to get through the walls. This all leads to essentially an outside altercation. The killer is there in the street and then gets run down by this car. It's Courtney Cox's character, Gal Weather, returning with the two niece and nephew, Mindy and Mason. Basically, they're on the scene and they're going to do basically do a kind of story and help follow it. This is when the plot develops that this is a mask. It's the stranger that was in the cafe earlier. There is no connection, and they're like, from previous films, there has been connections and stuff like this. This seems a bit strange. This then leads Gail Weathers and Neve Campbell's character to kind of have this interview to kind of spur on Stu to kind of come out the woodwork. In between this is happening, Tantrum has got all her friends together in Chloe's dad's diner, kind of cafe bar. And then more or less all of them get wiped out. With obviously this is Mindy and Mason's kind of idea of bringing everyone together. They both get injured. But as she tries to escape with her boyfriend, or just before leaving boyfriend, she finds on the boyfriend's laptop a kind of him doing a test of him being Stu's character and saying if it was done. She hits him over the head. She runs off. He kind of comes back a little bit late, but then gets killed off as she's being hunted through the town because there is a curfew by the Ghostface killer. She goes back to her mum's cafe that she owns, hides in the back. The Ghostface killer tracks her there, and unfortunately Neve Campbell's character Sydney is not able to get there. Talks her daughter through using a gun, shooting. Unfortunately, she does shoot the Ghostface killer. As she goes to get out, he manages to get back up, and she does get to shoot him in the head. And then we realise there's two Ghostface killers. So essentially, we're then looking at three Ghostface killers across this movie. Sydney then gets a call, basically saying that her daughter is being held captive at where it all starts, in a house, and to come back here. So she comes back to the house. In between this, the husband has been stabbed and we believe dead in the garage. And that term will show you exactly what it say. Basically, when the final comes up, she goes through the house. She keeps seeing TVs go on with CG of Stu, and then there is Dewey come up, and then Thingy's mum. There's a few characters that obviously make a kind of thing, leading up to her daughter being held at knife point outside near the pool. They go outside, or to the garden, I should say, not a pool. As they do it, they have one killer there with a mask on. A second one turns up. The first one is a mask. It's the orderly that we got to meet earlier, which is linked to the guy who did the first killing. And then the second one kind of rolls out this body, which is the husband, which is more or less dead, laying at the feet, and then pulls off the mask, and it's spoiler alert, Anne Camp's character, Jess Bowen. She's obviously had a traumatic life. Her husband was abusive. She followed Neve Campbell's Sydney's life, used her book to basically kill her husband and bury him, and then basically she wanted her to go away to New York and not come back to him, because she kind of ruined her life, and this is why these two have gone on a killing spree. The dad manages to free the daughter, even though he's still not dead after being stabbed for quite a long time of the day. The daughter and Sydney managed to shoot the guy, and then they managed to blow away Jessica Bandham. The end, all kind of happy ending, stuff like this. The medical team turn up with the ambulance and stuff, and this is where Gail Weathers was all right, and then she kind of hands the reins over to Mindy to kind of do this story. The end. What did I think of this movie? I rate this movie 5.7. So for me, we've had too many of the Scream movies that it was predictable in places. As soon as it was a bit of a surprise you have this first killer killed. You're obviously, after so many of the movies, there is more than one. When you're revealed and he's not linked to it and he has no way, you're a bit like, well, this doesn't make sense. And when they go, he's a mental patient, they go there and you meet the orderly, and the orderly is I would say probably like a C-list actor. Straight away you go, well, he's obviously involved in it, and he's like, oh yeah, he was here and he was the mentor one. Oh yeah, he was friends with, she shows him a picture of Stu, and he's like, oh yeah, he was like a comatose guy in the room next door that they lent for friends and all this stuff. And at which point, none of them have any checked any of this story out or anything. You know, the police supposedly have been involved but didn't highlight this to any of them, even though Sydney's husband is the sheriff. The sheriff has sent the technology off to BCG to say that if it was computer generated, it's fake or Stu. At no point that is ever followed up. The fact the husband gets killed off part of the way through, Neve Campbell's character, Sydney, only tries to phone him once, and then basically that character is forgotten about. Even though he's the head sheriff, there's other sheriffs that turn up there, and then magically near the end of the movie, they disappear. And this is the kind of thing of these movies, specifically with the last one as well. Like when they're in the graveyard and they're walking, and it's like the middle of the day, and then they go, "You need to go to this hut." They walk to the hut, and it's nighttime. Exactly like this. Someone gets stabbed multiple times. He's laying in the garage, which is like early morning or so. And this is, imagine they wheel him out late at night, like he's been laying there bleeding. Like, there's no way you would survive that. And this is the thing of, it's kind of the time frame between a lot of stuff doesn't seem to be very coherent when it comes to the killers and stuff like this. Like, it was good to have the reoccurring characters back there like Stu, but because they were already foreshadowed, we'd already seen them, we already knew the actor, especially Stu's character, was already going to be in it. You know, you kind of, it took away the sparkness of it. And I've said from 6, really, he should have been him should have gone away, had a life, had some kids, and that should have been the killers from 6. And that's why you never saw it coming. The fact we already knew this kind of took, you know, you've been waiting like a year or two for this to come out, and you knew Matthew Lillard was part of it. It kind of dampened that bit. As I say, it is a movie you can turn your brain off, go and enjoy it. I will get it that. They obviously have tried to gore it and make a bit more interesting stuff here. The fact Anna Camp's character, one of the ghost faces, kills her son and stuff, does throw you off the lead that she is the killer, and I didn't see her come in. I knew there was more or less someone else, and there were certain events, like when McKenna Grace's character Hannah gets killed, you see them with this board, and you're like, it's up and it's down, and then there's this like lever that you move from side to side to move the thing, and then she's moving from side to side, and the Ghostface killer comes out and tries to stab her, and you're like, well, you know, there's 2 of them, because that wouldn't be possible, because you basically highlighted what the controls are, and then you see somebody going to kill her. And there's little bits like that I didn't think were executed that well. The one thing I did think was executed that well is, before the husband gets killed at the very beginning, there were very good scenes of where you would see like the ghost face kind of appear through sheets, through dark and stuff. And that kind of effect that they used several times was brilliant. I thought that definitely added to the tension, and there was a few times that made you jump on that. So I think it did all right on that side of things. As I say, a bit predictable in most places. And I say, overall, you look at it and it's like, these people, apart from being next door neighbours to Sydney, had no reason. They were fascinated with her, but it's kind of like you were tugging at strings, because of obviously the previous girl got fired from the role for, I think, some posts for some, she did some posts, and basically they removed her, and that's it. And to be honest, the last film, I think the trailer gave you real depth at these characters, and they could elevate the Ghostface character, make him a bit more robust, and like using the baseball bat and stuff like that. There were little bits I was looking forward to, the evolution of Ghostface and them, and it definitely kept you guessing because they were interlinked. But I was just, the payoff wasn't the greatest in the last one. The same here. It's like, yeah, it's all great, that's who it is. Yes, I didn't see one of them coming, I did see the other one, but they're nobody. And basically the story from like 6 to 7, like this whole gap, you know, at the end of the day, nothing's really happened apart from the brother and sister, Mindy and Mason. They're a little bit more in line with Gail Weathers. That's about it. And we brought Sydney's daughter into it, but all of them like survive and stuff, and I just thought that was very a bit disappointing to me. But yeah, as I say, an alright movie to watch. Not the greatest of Scream movies, but there we go. Have you seen Scream 7? What are your thoughts and feelings? Let them know in a comment down below. Otherwise, I've been Chris from Soft Sick and Screen Time, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.